The girl fantasized about reincarnating as the protagonist of a story. She purposely wrote the villain's death into the first episode and made the heroine seem perfect. But she didn't expect that when she really transmigrated, she would end up as the villain herself. In the story, Iana is the daughter of a count and the younger sister of the female lead. However, she constantly hinders the development of the romance between the male and female leads, even attempting to kill Konoha in the end. When Iana transmigrates, it's right when she tries to harm someone, but instead, she ends up getting caught. Soon, Iana faces execution, but fortunately, she portrayed Konoha as very magnanimous. Even though she knows Iana did wrong, Konoha pleads for Iana's mercy. Because of this, Iana survives, but is confined for 3 months. She is exiled to the edge of the territory. However, the key is that on her first day there, she is destined to be killed. The assassin is a slave whom Konoha had once saved, and he has loved Konoha ever since. Naturally, Iana, who almost killed Konoha, becomes his target. Since it's written as a novel, this part of the story is not elaborated. Iana doesn't know what the assassin looks like but remembers his name, Soul. Unfortunately, that is also the name of her personal attendant. At this moment, Iana realizes that Soul must be the easiest person to approach her, and she understands his intent to kill her. Thus, she decides to stay far away from him. But the real question is how to resolve her current predicament. Soul thinks Iana looks tired from the journey and offers to bring her a drink, giving Iana a moment to think. As she contemplates, she wonders if not harming Konoha might make her safe. After thinking this through, Iana turns around and accidentally scares Soul. He quickly pretends that everything's fine. Taking advantage of this moment, Iana decides to write a letter to Konoha, just to check in. Soul, surprised, brings her paper and a pen, even though he believes Iana is faking. In the letter, Iana repeatedly apologizes and assures Konoha that she won't interfere with her marriage. However, this odd behavior only increases suspicion. Soul hands the letter to Konoha, who tears it up without a second thought. He doesn't believe Iana's words at all, so Konoha never receives the letter. However, Soul says that Konoha is traveling with the Count. At the mention of the Count, Iana suddenly remembers that when Konoha saved Soul, the Count was also present. With just one sentence, Konoha made Soul fall in love with her.
ソル、あなたの綺麗な手は汚すためにあるものじゃないのよ。なんちゃって。
なぜその言葉を。
But Iana can't explain this, so she finds an excuse and leaves the room. Now, the most important thing is to think of more details, or Soul will surely kill her. Iana recalls that during her confinement, Konoha seemed to have encountered danger. If Iana had died in the prologue, the next to die would be the villain from the first episode. At this moment, Iana suddenly recalls that this villain is probably the Count. The Count had secretly admired Konoha's mother when he was young, but suppressed his feelings. When Konoha grew up and looked so much like her mother, the Count's love twisted. The Count then lured the male lead and Konoha into a village and attacked them. But this attack led Konoha to discover her potential and eventually defeat the Count. From there, the story develops as Konoha gets more involved in the world's chaos. Though everything is eventually resolved, it leaves a psychological scar on her. When writing the novel, Iana thought it was nothing, but now it feels somewhat cruel. After all, Konoha always thought of her and even pleaded for her. Thinking of this, Iana wants to return to the royal city, but she's still under confinement and no one dares to fulfill her request. Soul also mistakenly believes she intends to do something bad and keeps her locked up. Iana can only say she wants to take a walk, but in reality, she plans to rush to the scene because she knows that something will happen tonight. She must get there as soon as possible.